Good morning, everyone. So today we will start with another session of Indian Express, and there are a lot many news, but the important news as of now is that medical product analysis, cough syrup. There was a problem created by the cough syrup in Gambia in Africa, and vis-a-vis that there was an issue of regulation, that who controls and why there was a lag in this overall situation and scenario. So we will take that, but before going into that, there are so many topics, okay, which can be covered topic wise. So this is gist of today's topic that will be taking today, and there was not much news. So here it is. The thing is that first, Slab Avalanche. So important from the perspectives of mains and prelims also, because every other year there is an issue of avalanche. When last year there was an issue where 23 army soldiers were killed in the avalanche. This year, as we were discussing yesterday, that National Nehru Institute of Mountaineering, around 32 people are believed to be missing. So that is one part. Second is women protest in Iran. And what are the reasons? We will not delve into the reasons, but largely what will be the topic of contention is that why it is creating a worldwide wave and what is the basic demand. Third, in GS2 there was a relevant news in which India abstained on voting from the resolution brought by many countries, particularly Western countries, against China on the issue of human right violation against the Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang province. So that will be the third topic. In GS3, though it is not a direct topic, but it is related to the security, and particularly you will find the details of the security on the OPAD page, where a previous general wrote about the lessons of 7-month war. Now, apart from that, the theme of our today's discussion, drug export, and what are the problems and the challenges that we are facing in that context. Again, credit rating agencies, that why there is a news of credit rating agencies and what was the basically guidelines and what is the function of credit rating agencies, and why SEBI banned Brickwaters company, and with the given reason that it was failure to exercise the proper due diligence. That will be third. Fourth topic is again from the ethical sections, where former DOT Secretary Deepak joins Airtel. Previously he was in the Department of Telecom, and after that he was transferred to some other ministry. Further he went to the UN, yet there was in contention of the cooling off period, yet he joined Airtel, and that he was a secretary in that period when there was a tariff war between Airtel and Reliance. So that is the another news. Nobel Prize, because it is related with the literature, and largely she wrote on women issues, equality, gender, class, such other things. So it will again part of the prelims. Now, this Crevasse, again related with the avalanche, that how there is a gulf between two different ice mountains or blocks. Further, there is a new application given with the fact that Elon Musk is trying to acquire Twitter again. So he wanted to create a super app. So we will go into the technicalities of what is super app and what can be the challenges of the super app. Here there is a quote: when I write, I do not have the impressions of looking inside me, I look inside a memory. So this is the quote by the Nobel laureate, and where she is emphasizing that the memory is shaped by the social factor, and how she is trying to create a distinction between the gender and the writing. Now, there is a essay topic, war is politics by other means. So you see that what you can do is you can write the essay, or probably you can give a brief outline, and if the time permits, if there is a feasibility, I will check some of the selected topics in the essay. So directly you can send it to the Telegram ID of the Lukmaan IAS. Okay, so which I am not getting from quite some time, and I believe that I will be getting it. So we will start our discussion today with avalanche. So what is avalanche? It is the masses of snow, ice and rocks that falls rapidly down from the mountain. Masses of snow, ice and rocks that fall rapidly down from a mountain side. Why it was in the news? Because naturally of the Draupadi Ka Danda and the crisis at the Uttarkasi that we are witnessing today. So there are many types of avalanche. One of the types is slab avalanche. So slab avalanche occurs when the weak layer lies lower down in the snow peak. See, basically if there is a slab, it completely disintegrates from the mountain, and it is a very rapid something speed in the 130 to 140 kilometer and downhill. So it will always be a danger to the mountaineers. So it is start as a cohesive unit and settle into the small pieces as it descends, and it is very rapid. So it is always a threat to the mountaineers. See, the thing is that we are taking it as that it is a leisure activity practiced by some affluent and the rich people, but if we consider the NIM, then it is more about the external security. Nehru Institute of Mountaineering, it is more about the external security, because it is directly controlled by Defense Ministry, and it is used as a source to train the army cadets. Most of the operations and the training is for the army troops who will be posted in the western or eastern sector. So in that context, avalanche in anywhere in the Himalayas is a threat to the army personnel also. So when the avalanche is triggered, the weak layer breaks off, pulling up the layer on the top of it down the slope. These layers tumbles and fall into a giant block or slab, and this is what happened at Uttarkasi at Draupadi Ka Danda, which is situated at nearly 2 kilometers above where these peoples were camping. So once a slab avalanche starts, the slab shatters into many separate blocks. These snow blocks breaks into even smaller pieces. Some of the pieces rise into the air as a moving cloud of ice particles. The cloud races downhill at a very high speed. The thickness and the speed of slab avalanche makes them a threat of skiers, snowboarders, and the mountaineers and hikers. Slab avalanche are by far the most dangerous type of avalanche for the people. So this is what we were witnessing when we are seeing the crisis in any part of the Himalayas. So it can, because the thing is, when there is a fresh ice, so you can never know what is the stability of the ice. So whenever the skateboarders or the skiers or the skiing people generally go, so they are not able to ascertain that how the ice will be stable or not. Moreover, as the sun starts rising, so these particles become weak. And they fall at a rapid pace. This is why slab avalanches is dangerous to even our security prospects, because as we know that most of these peoples are related with mountaineering in the eastern sector. Now women protest. I haven't written it anywhere, but you see that there is a changing nature of the women protest. And in this particular, if we follow the developments in the Iran, this protest is different. At one side you can see that it is more about the hijab, but on the broader aspect, if we try to analyze it, it is related with the femininity and the feminism issues of the beauty and such other. That's why women in larger part of the world are now cutting down their hairs, because beauty is a symbol of oppression by the male society or patriarchal society. As it started because of the killing of the burqa, so when somebody, some Kurd national, just removed her burqa or veil, and it was considered as a blasphemous act by the Revolutionary Guard and the Revolutionary Police of the Iranian regime. So, but it created a chain reaction whereby there was emphasis upon the nature of the protest in the nature of the woman's right, where there was question that why they are supposed to wear the veil or the burqa, and started as a worldwide phenomena. Largely it is impacting on nearly every part of the Iranian regime, where the Khamenei government is, they are shouting that death to Khamenei, and it is considered as a watershed movement which has the tendency or which has the potential to bring down the government. The Iranian regime is saying that it is supported by USA, but just think about it that what is the history of Iran, if we will try to analyze in this in particularly context. So basically there was the Shah rule till 1979, and Shah was very close to United States and he was very liberal in that pretext. But the thing is that it was also the era of neo-colonialism or imperialism, disguised imperialism. So there was a ill feeling against the Shah in the Iran overall. So there was a revolution, and in this revolution basically it was propagated by the communist people, the Communist Party, and it was supported, tacitly supported by the Russia. But as the fate had it, or the consequences of it was that after a while there was an election, there was a democratic election in which Muslim Brotherhood won the election and they resorted to the Sharia laws. So you see that from 1950s onwards, 1955 onwards to 1979, they enjoyed all kind of liberty. Everyone in Iran enjoyed all kind of liberty, freedom and such other things, though there was a deep sense of crony capitalism or a monarchical capitalism. But largely the people enjoyed the right and what is perceived as the Western right. Now after 1979 that changed completely. The Sharia was in the preponderance, and most of the principles and the state was guided by a theological sense of the Sharia. So what is theology? So theology is that religious ruling. So it was guided by the religious ruling. So they imposed the burqa and such other restrictions, they prescribed movement of the women and such other. And now when there was a custodial killing of a woman, it started as a chain which is now impacting every contours. The important point that we are supposed to learn from this movement, that this movement specifically questions the right of the women. Specifically, it is the question of the woman. See, the question of the woman is generally absent in the independent movement or any such other movement, but it is really questioning that what is the definition of the beauty, why we are supposed to wear the hijab and such other part, and it is gaining very much prominence. So even that part can be related to India, where there is a crisis, or probably there is always a movement kind that why a product should be named fair and lovely, okay, and fair and handsome. So such kind, why we are obsessed with the color. So isn't it a gender construct? Isn't it as a patriarchal construct? So you see that there is changes in the name and the brand itself, and we are more now using the more gendered language. So this part, the women protest part, is addressing the question of the women, and it is gaining a traction worldwide. Now the third topic is India abstains. You see, there is a three parts to it. That motion was brought against the atrocities being committed on the ugly-haired Muslim in the Xinjiang province. Basically, there is a radicalization, even as UN suggests that there is an ongoing radicalization, or you see that genocide basically in China, where these people, the Muslims are, because Muslims are minority in China, so they are generally kept in a, loosely it can be said, concentration camp, where they are brainwashed and they are not able to practice their religion. They are living in the jails, they are living as a class enemy, and they do not have any rights, and any kind of religious inkling or association is not appreciated and it's severely punished. So this has been ongoing from quite some time. So against this, and particularly this gained prominence after a UN report. So there was a convention was brought in the UN where they are supposed to criticize the China for it, but it was opposed by the India. So you see that it feels a bit paradoxical and contradictory that why Indian government is supporting China when we are facing so much problems at different levels. So what are the reasons why they are facing such kind of problem? So the an analysis of all the above part can be thought in a way that we are trying to make a global south, and some people are saying that we are trying to build a RIC, Russia, India, China axis, which will be against the western part. Apart from that, there is an important issue, reliability of the US policy. Can US be trusted? That is an important question, particularly after the crisis that we are witnessing, that US allocated nearly $400 million to Pakistan, and everybody know that where it will be used. Okay, so this part is a symbolism, because see, right now we have talked in the day before yesterday, we have talked about the AUKUS and the Australian submarine issue, that India was ready, India brought down or particularly helped US and the AUKUS groups in a resolution brought by China about the nuclear submarine. So this was done in the IEA. So but here it was that US is supporting Pakistan by giving it 400 million and F-16, one part. Second, that you see, recently the ambassador of Pakistan visited Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So when they visited Pakistan occupied Kashmir, so India thought that it is being the status quo is being legitimized. So as a symbol, it is said that it is protest against the US policy, because largely Canada, US, UK, France brought this resolution. Further, see, it is more about interest, that where we are seeing it. Most of the OIC countries, even Ukraine, voted against this resolution. Ukraine is being supported by the Western country, even Ukraine voted against this resolution. And all of the Islamic organization voted against this resolution, even when there is a concept of Muslim brotherhood in the Muslim fraternity, not the nation. So why they voted against it? So it is sometimes better to abstain to gain a strategic autonomy, and moreover, it is better to be a neutral in such situation where even the Islamic countries are voting against such kind of thing. But ultimately it throws an ethical gauntlet or ethical dilemma, that though they are human right violation, and nearly if we see that the China is supporting everything that Pakistan is bringing in the UN, then why we are doing this? Why we abstain from a vote against the China, particularly issues related with the human rights? So you see that sometimes because of this, India is OIC and India are sharing a good relation, and all these factors trying to create a global south where the imposition of idea or the hegemony of the Western vis-a-vis rights, human rights, as human rights is a very subjective thing, na? So these things can be dispensed away with. So this was about the why India abstained from the part of that part. Further, if we will go to the op-ed page, where there you will see that there is a news that written by, I guess he is Admiral. See, it is news important in the context of that lessons from a 7-month war, lessons of a 7th-month war by Raja Menon. You see that how the notion of the war is changing. That is very important. Why war is changing? See, initially he started with Maniksaw, when he said that Air Force and Navy are necessary tools or accessories for winning the war, but now the war is being won, always is won on the land. So it highlighted the importance of army. It highlighted the importance of army in a war. But now, if we see it context of Agnipath, see Agnipath is a contemporaneous issues and there are so many points against it. But what Agnipath or for that matter any other restrictions on the personals of the army is considered that we are moving in an era which is guided by technology. The better tech you have, the more chances of winning the war. Okay. So it is guided by technology. Though Ukraine was an insignificant country when we considered a larger design of the Russian army, yet Ukraine is holding against a big army. Why? Because it is being technology supported by the Western power. Okay, so you see, in this context, you can read the last para, and that is the para which is only important, and it can be used as conclusion in the essay or somewhere else, even in the paper 3. See, it is clear now there is such an entity as a high-tech battlefield. So, when we consider high-tech battlefield, the scope and the chances of the army reduces. And that's why Agnipath is a good scheme in that context. Reason, you see that you are creating a specialized force, a high-tech force. It is not about more number of the people, more number of the head. This is what right now the Russia is doing when it created a general mobilization. It is more about technology. It is more about high-tech battle. At the same time, not all battlefields are high-tech. The high-tech battlefield reduces the salience of overwhelming manpower, but without getting into the domain of military expert, it can be summarized that the tendency to hold war in abeyance is going to increase with a simultaneous rise in the importance of economics and diplomacy. You see another important point, and this is where China is succeeding. What he is trying to emphasize upon is that without geoeconomics, you cannot succeed in the geopolitics. But the problem is that why India is not opting for geopolitics, not opting for geoeconomics, why it is emphasizing upon the geopolitics. So further, there is this quote by Kissinger, diplomacy is a restraint on power, and importance grand strategy being economic, diplomacy and force. And he cited the example of China Belt and Road Initiative, which is primarily geo-economic, but also military power overtones and advanced dynamics diplomacy, like what they were doing in the Seychelles and Maldives and Sri Lanka. But some countries are probably unaffected by the lesson of the Ukraine war, but interstate relations have undergone a massive change, and the threat held out by the larger states such as India is taken more lightly in the small neighborhood, that provided they have the access to the technology. So if we see that India, that what is the impact? You know, there is in technological inequality when we consider the overall dynamics. China and US has certainly had some advantage because China is controlling the cloud computing and the hackers, and US nearly have all the high-tech technology. Even you know that asset missions or the Astra or space weaponization of the space are being seen in the context of high-tech technology. But the larger issue is that in somewhere in near future, the war will be guided by the AI. So when it will be guided by the AI, it will need less manpower and expertise in the manpower. And this is what he was highlighting here, that overwhelming manpower is not needed, rather a specialized manpower is needed along with the geoeconomics. Only by physical force, you will not be able to defy it. So that's why diplomacy is a restraint on power along with the geoeconomics. And India is not using because India is apprehensive that if we will start using it, many other country will use against us. And this was done after the 1999 nuclear test. Japan instructed or imposed a many embargo or restrictions on Indian business. So that was a part of the geoeconomics. What we have done in Nepal, not explicitly, but blockade that was created by the Madhesis tantamounts to geoeconomics, but we are not using it that frequently. Even there was an issue of the rice. Now there is this issue of the rice in the op-ed page. So largely that was not much there, and it was written by yes, up ahead rice insecurity. So what he is saying that you see that India imposed the restrictions on the export of the rice from India. So it will create a problem in the long term future, but as it is developing, that's why we are not going into detail of that. But ultimately it amounts to the geoeconomics part also, or the uses of the vaccinations, vaccine mastery and such other. So it is tantamounts to geoeconomics also. This was all about the security issue. Now moving to the next topic, which is drug export. So it is another important topic, but before going into that, we have to understand that the central CDSCO under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, they are the main organization and authority who regulates the usage of drugs in India. So why it was not able to control the Gambian part? For that we have to understand what is its mandate. Prescribe standards and measures for ensuring the safety, efficacy and quality of drugs, cosmetics and diagnostics and devices in the country, regulates the market authorization of new drugs and clinical trials and standards, supervises drug imports and approves license to manufacture the above mentioned products. So this is the mandate of the CDSCO, who controls the drug issues in India, that is Central Drug Standards and Control Organization. But the point is, are you seeing manufacturing anywhere in here? Efficacy and quality of drug, cosmetic, diagnostics devices, standards and measures for ensuring safety, regulates the market authorization, new drugs, supervise drug imports and approves. So you see, manufacturing is not part and the mandate of the CDSO, and this is done by the state authority, and here lies the regulatory challenges. So in case of India, if we try to analyze it, see, drug manufacturing, quality and marketing is regulated in accordance with Drug and Cosmetic Acts 1940 CDSCO. Okay, Drug Prices Control Order, it is related with the pricing of the drug. Pharmacy Act 1948, Drug and Magic Remedies Act 1954, and so in accordance with Act of the 1940, that is Drug and Cosmetics Act 1940, there exists a system of dual regulation and dual control at both center and the state level, and here is the problem. You see that approval of new drug is under the mandate of CDSCO. Clinical trials, again the mandate of CDSCO. Standard setting, CDSCO. Control over imported drugs and coordination with the state bodies. These are the parts that are regulated by CDSCO. Further, state authorities, what is their mandate? License and monitoring manufacture, distribution and sale of drugs and other related products. See, regulation is an important topic. Regulation and regulatory bodies is an important topic in the GS paper 3. So probably because of these crises and the other crises that are prevailing in India, particularly related with the pharma sector, this can be an important question. Sale of drugs and other related property, license and monitoring manufacture, and here lies the problem, because the drug that were made and that were exported to the Gambia is not sold in India, and that's why it was not for the clinical trial and such other issues, licensing and monitoring was not checked by the state authority, distribution and sales of drugs and other related products. So they are the first body that who will see and analyze the overall efficacy of the drug. And here lies the problem, that it was not seen or it was not analyzed by the Indian regulatory bodies. Further, according to 59 report of Ministry of Health and Welfare, Family Welfare, drug authorities have inadequate infrastructure. One, shortage of drug inspectors, non-existence of data bank and accurate information, and non-uniformity are some of the factors that is marring the overall efficacy of the drug regulation body. Even the enforcement among the states and lack of proactive interaction between the state, particularly in connection with the investigation related to drugs and not of standard quality. So these are the problems because of which this drug was not tasted and it was not analyzed and it was directly exported, because it is not being sold in India, and you have to see in this context. Now, the other news, credit rating agencies, which you will find on page number 19. SEBI orders brickwork rating to shut shop in 6 months. So, but you know, we have to understand that what is credit rating agencies. So, credit rating is an informed opinion of a recognized entity. Credit rating is an informed opinion of a recognized entity on the relative credit worthiness of an issuer or instrument. In other words, it is an opinion on the relative degree of risk associated with the payment of interest and principals on a debt instrument. Such a recognized entity is known as credit rating agencies. And what they check? They check debt securities, short-term debt instruments like commercial papers, structured debt obligation, loan and fixed deposits. Now, how it functions? That it functions, first an issue requested rating from the credit rating agencies, and after that a rating agreement is signed. It assign and team information about the issuer. The rating team submits a report to the rating committee. Rating committee assigns a rating. The rating is communicated to the issuer. Okay, now rating accepted by the issuer, rating published on the CRA's website, periodic review of the rating. Here, rating is not accepted by the issuer, rating appealed by the issuer, and it goes through appellate mechanism to the first point again. Unaccepted rating published on the CRA websites. So this is the mechanism of the rating agencies. So in case of brickwork, what exactly happened, that it is a rating agency backed by the Canara Bank. So, and they were not, you know, exercising proper diligence, and that's why this is the first time that SEBI cancelled the license of a credit agency, a rating agency. Though if you see that most of the people, that the persons associated with the this rating agencies are of the employee of the SEBI, and some IS also are there. So these were not exercising due diligence, particularly related to the Bhushan Steel and Gayatri projects. Gayatri projects and Bhushan Steels have crashed significantly in the share market, and because the rating agencies gave them a favorable rating, and this is the reason why it has done. So in this context, we have to understand the role of credit rating agencies. So the role of credit rating agencies is they reduces information asymmetry, because if some credit rating agencies with due diligence will analyze the overall data and they said that okay, this is AA plus or A plus, B plus, that is what Moody's and CRA's KS are doing now. S&P, Moody's, that India have a favorable rating, go invest there. So this reduces the information asymmetry. Further, utility for the issuers. Issuer communicate the quality of the issues through the rating agencies of the through the rating of the credit rating agencies, which help it stabilize credit worthiness so that they can get the loans or the required amount of the money from the market. Gatekeeper of the financial market, they provide tangible benefits to the financial market regulators by reducing the cost of regulation, Regulators such RBI uses credit rating agencies to improve awareness and decision making of their regulated entities. For instance, credit rating agencies are used to determine the capital adequacy of a bank and resolution of the stressed assets. Further, it is the purview of the regulatory license. Some financial regulator mandates that certain instruments must be rated mandatorily before they are issued. Extensive integration of the credit rating agencies into the financial system transforms their role as a purveyor. Moral suasion. If some country is not doing well, if there is a BB minus rating or triple B minus rating or junk rating, then they are able to improve over all their financial policies. So that probably in this case, you know, like what happened during the 1991 crisis in India, and so that the credit worthiness can increase, FDI will come. So this is the moral suasion which is followed by the credit rating agencies. Now, in the last page, you will see that former DOT Secretary Deepak joins Airtel. So this is about the cooling off period. Bureaucrats serve as a cooling off period after they retire and before they can join a private firm. As per the rules for the All India services, officials undergo a cooling off period for a year, which was previously 2 years, and it was reduced in December 2015. So this applies to officers of Group A, Central Civil Services, Post and All India Services. So government permission to be sought for the post-retirement commercial employment. This is the job taken up within 1 year of leaving the office. Why? Because there is always a conflict of interest. In this case, senior bureaucrat occupies key policy making positions in the government. The cooling off period is a way to reduce any possible conflict of interest. This is the important point, and that's why it is cooling off period is imposed upon. But it ensures that they are right to take up an employment of choice in the future. So they will not give a favorable policy to any company, and this is why this is in the news, because at that time there was a price war which was going on between Reliance and Airtel, and in this context it was analyzed that it can be favorable. Just after that it was denied and it was given permission, he was transferred, and further he went to the UN. So though not directly related with the ethical imperative, yet it is important in order to understand this context. Now, French writer Ernaux has won the Nobel Prize in Literature for what Nobel Committee has said, that there is an uncompromising work exploring life marked by great disparities regarding gender, language and class. So yesterday, as we were discussing, that in some cases abortion is not appreciated. So she was living in a time, 1964, where abortion was banned in France, and in this case gender, language and class were important issues, and she wrote extensively on this and highlighted the disparity, and in this case Ernaux has won the Nobel Prize. Now the other news is, which is related with the prelims, and it is related with the again Uttarkashi. A crevasse is a deep wedge shaped opening in a moving mass of ice called a glacier. Basically, if this is a glacial and this is a glacial, this is a crevasse and the gap is crevasse. But the thing is that when there is an icing, say probably there will be deposit of ice which is a very thin, but it will look like an ice. So when you will walk on it, it will fall down and you will not have any idea. So that's why it is considered as a danger to the mountaineers and the army personnel. And this is the reason because so many people died in the Uttarkashi nowadays. So what is crevasse is usually forms in the top 50 meters of a glacial where their ice is brittle. Below that, a glacial is less brittle and can slide over uneven surfaces without cracking. The inflexible upper portion may split as it moves over changing landscapes. And this is what exactly happened in Draupadi Ka Danda when there was a crevasse and people fall down. Crevasse also forms when different part of glacial moves at different speed. As we were discussing that in avalanche, glacial starts moving. So in case there will be a crevasse will be formed, and it will be very difficult to gauge that it is a ice sheet or not. Now the other news is super apps. Super apps essentially serves as a single portal to wide range of virtual products and services. You will get everything under one head, which is what Tata Neu is trying to do, and which is what Elon Musk is after. In case of China, there are two super apps, that is WeChat and AliExpress. So, you know, these apps generally serve as anything for banking transactions, banking intermediaries. Any offer or any services can be got on the super app. So they are using the vast wealth of data to deliver better services. They are building their brand reputations in the financial services and intermediary banks from the customers. But again, it is creating a problem which can be considered as Walmartization or predatory marketing after a while. This is the issue that we generally face with the big tech companies, that what will happen in the future. When you will have a monopoly over everything, over data or over the services, then it can create distortions in the market, which is being witnessed in the case of China. And previously, when there was FDI and there was a brick and mortar shop called Walmart, so within the start of the operation of Walmart in Mexico, nearly 5,000 mom and pop stores were closed. Mom and pop stores आज छोटा मोटा दुकान जो होता है वहाँ पे कहीं पे भी, तो these दुकान किराने वाले की दुकान जो आपके गली के बाहर होता है, तो these stores, nearly 5,000 of the stores closed within 5 years of the operation, as Walmart started resorting to the predatory market. So in case of India, though we have the government regulation, yet it will be seen in the detail in the article section or in the editorial section, that what are the impacts of the super app on the overall functioning of a government. So which ends up our discussion, but yes, there was this two topics which you can analyze and write an essay upon and can send it to the Telegram ID, where some of the essay will be checked, definitely it will be checked, and these are the topics. War is politics by other means. And you see that you have to find a connection between war and politics. What is politics? Distribution of resources in the society according to the power group, and how war is shaping or reshaping that part, countrywide and other part also. So it is politics by other means, where we want to emphasize, or the writer want to emphasize, that other means is what? That you are doing it forcibly. So you see that in case of Ukraine, war is there, but there is also a real politicking, where the West is supporting the Ukraine through many things which is required. So that is again a politics. That is again balancing a segregated interest. So this is what the essay can be seen in the context. The literal meaning is that you have to see war as it is, but it can also have many interpretations. Why there was a national war of independence, though it was not explicitly a war, but what freedom war, freedom movement. So such movement can be seen in this context further. The feminists are at the war, or we are the class, there is a class war, there is a caste war. So this is another interpretation that you can see, you have to see in that case, and you will find many dimensions to it. So this essay is all about that, how you are seeing the topic in different perspective and different dimensions. I believe that you will write some of the essays, and on that note, the discussion for the Indian Express today is finished, because you see that there is Friday, this is Friday, and there is not much news to be covered. Okay, thanks a lot.